What's up YouTube, Dale here from Zephyr, and today I'm bringing you the first profile of 2025. So let's start strong and hopefully continue from there. We're going to be starting off with, of course, my favourite deck in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Being Dark Magician. Now I'm really hoping that, considering Blue Eyes got support towards the end of last year and then we officially got it in the TCG this year, that hopefully Dark Magician will be the next one to follow. We do know there was rumours rumbling around that the OCG were going to be getting more support from Dark Magician. We just haven't seen it as yet. So fingers crossed that the year will be 2025 and we will get it in 2025 as well and not have to wait forever. That being said, I've updated my profile of Dark Magician. It does involve a couple of different engines, stuff like Primite and the Nadir Servant package, as they are personally my favourite engines to use within the deck, and it does give it a very nice aggressive edge, as all of those particular cards are like one card power plays in order to get your deck moving. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe so you miss out on any more upcoming content for the whole of 2025 and beyond. Starting head first with the Dark Magician cards themselves, we are going to be rocking triple Dark Magician. Now the reason we play 3 Dark Magician in this version is you will burn through them quite quickly with the Primite engine. You can play 2 if you want to. It is currently a 41 card deck, so by cutting out a Dark Magician you will make it a bang on 40. Then for our main normal summon of the deck being triple Magician's Rod, the idea behind this is it's going to get you access to all of your Dark Magician cards. Mainly you're going to work your way into Soul Servant, and then Soul Servant can ultimately lead you into a Magician's Souls, Illusion of Chaos and thereafter. Speaking of which, we are playing triple Magician Souls. Also, FYI, can we get an upgrade for this one please, Konami? I wouldn't even mind if this is in the 4th Bonanza of the year coming out in April as a quarter century. I'll happily pick that up. Triple Magician Souls, after I digress, 2 Illusion of Chaos and 2 Preparation of Rites. Again, Preparation of Rites is another one of the cards you could arguably cut down to 1, just because Draw and Lockbird is running around in the format. That what you don't want to be doing is activate Preparation of Rites, add an Illusion of Chaos and your opponent goes draw, because then you're like, cool, guess I'm not going anywhere. You'd probably be a lot happier and a bit better off playing 3 Illusion of Chaos in its place instead, because at least you can go Illusion of Chaos, reveal, and then you can work your way to a Magician's Souls, which still allows you to get that body on the board. Whether you want to be working towards a Dark Magician or you want to get Magician's Souls for some draw power, it gives you that option. We're then also playing 1 Dark Magician Girl and of course 1 Tomias the United Dragon. Again, if we can get this one as an upgrade as quarter century as well, that'd be amazing, because then all of the cards I've just shown you will all be in quarter century. Happy days for a Dark Magician fan. And then moving into the spells, we are now playing triple Soul Servant. So again, like I've said before, I bounced back and forth between 3 and 2 of this card in a 41 card version, and I was looking at making this deck a 45 card version. You're definitely going to want to be maxing out on it. It's just one of them ones that saves you that search off of Magician's Souls, and then the ability to stack your deck with whatever Dark Magician card you might want is really important. I was also highly tempted to play Palladium Oracle Mana as well, Mahad and Mana, just because it's so easy to get a Dark Magician to the graveyard, and then with Magician's Souls you can very easily get Dark Magician Girl to the graveyard, and then with Soul Servant you can draw into it to get the Manadium and then move your plays further forward from there. Like, you can end up drawing 3 to 4 cards, which is crazy. And then for the one-offs, we do play the 1 Dark Magical Circle, the 1 Magician's Salvation, 1 Secret of Dark Magic, Magician's Combination and Eternal Soul. Now again, combination is personally down to personal preference, but I think it's a no-brainer that when you're playing Dark Magician Go anyway, you might as well utilize Salvation and Combination. There are 2 cards, if you decide to take out Dark Magician Go and go for like maybe Mana or Mahad, then of course you can cut them out completely, and again it kind of frees you up a bit more space to play more hand traps or board breakers, depending on your personal preference and choice. Moving into the Primite engine, now I've actually minimised the Primite engine, so we are going to be going with triple Primite Lordy Lord and 2 Raw alongside 1 of the Imperial Dragon. Now the Dragon's less required in this particular version. The idea is you just want Primite Lordy Lord to get you to Raw, and then Raw can get you into a Dark Magician, and then of course if you wanted to, Lordy Lord could get you into a second Dark Magician. But what you'll find more times than not is you actually use Magician's Souls to send the Lordy Lord to give you an additional draw, which can be very helpful. Not to mention, a lot of people forget the secondary effect of Primite Raw in order to you to deal with your opponent's normal summon monster, and more times than not, you're pretty much covered because your Dark Magician is going to be Dark and 2500 attack, so it's very difficult for any normal summon monster to be above that particular stat. And the best thing about that is when you're looking at stuff like Malice, when you look at the Malice strategy, they do have to sometimes normal summon Dormouse or even normal summon Rabbit. Now Rabbit's a little bit more of an issue because it triggers on effect, so that when you try to use Raw to get rid of it, you can still get rid of it before it sets the trap card. But even then with Dormouse, they have to normal summon it and then you activate the effect afterwards. It's not an on activation or an on summon effect. So you can Primite Raw, get rid of it before they can even use that effect, which is really important. The biggest issue on that one is you banish the monster. So Give and take. You banish it, they're going to get it back anyway. But the idea is that if you've already used Rabbit or something like that and you stop them getting it back, it kind of lets you deal with it a bit more. Be wary that if you do banish it, it does suck. But the other is it means that you make them eat up one of their burns. Like they don't want to be using their life points or their banish effects of those Malice monsters early doors. So very, very important. Keep that in mind. And then for the Nadir Servant package, we are playing triple Nadir Servant, the one Dogmatika Maximus, and I've decided to spice it up now by playing one Guiding Quem and one Cartesia. So the idea is if I don't see Magician's Rod, I can actually go Nadir Servant for Quem, and then Quem lets me send Cartesia from deck to grave. Now it does become a little bit more stagnant because the idea is if you go for your Maximus, that's going to lead you into your Nadir Servant, into your Winterlock play, which is something that I would advise you going more times than not. But what this gives you the option for is that later games, or even in more going second versions or anything else like that, or after your second Nadir Servant, your first Nadir Servant, you have another option to go for it. The reason you'd work your way into Cartesia is because as soon as a monster leaves the extra deck, Quem will bring you back the Cartesia, and then straight away you've got the ability to fusion summon as a quick play during your opponent's turn, or even during your turn, which can be very, very helpful. Also, a normal summon of Quem is never really that bad of a thing either, because again, it gives you that ability to quick effect, use this effect to fusion off, depending on what you're trying to work your way into. And keep in mind, you don't always have to use Cartesia to use as fusion material. You can pretty much use whatever you want, and that can lead you into some of your Dark Magician fusion cards, even if you don't work your way into the Timaeus Dragon, your Magical Eyes fusion that we're playing in this deck, or of course, if you don't work yourself into the Secrets of Dark Magic. Then the final card that kind of fits within this element or this engine is of course the Shaddoll Schism. So I explain this every single time that I show it. The whole idea behind all of this is you activate Nadir Servant. Nadir Servant will send you a card like Garura Wings of Resonance Life. It could, if you wanted to put back one of your bricks, even send you a Ferrogy if you don't have Garura. But the idea is you send this to the graveyard, you draw one card, and then you get to search out your Maximus. Maximus would then banish the Garura from the graveyard to summon itself down, and then send two monsters from your extra deck to the graveyard. So the two cards that you would want to send, you'd want to send your El Shaddai App Cologne, and it's entirely up to you on what the other card is you usually want to send. If you're going aggressive, go second, you send Elder Entity Ints. If you're going first and you want to get a follow-up of Magical Eyes Fusion, you can actually send the Albulanatus, or of course if you wanted to, you can send Titaniclad, and Titaniclad will work its way into Quem as well. So you've got loads of different ways to work that back around, so it gets Quem into the graveyard, or it gets Quem back to the board, and that will allow you to extend your play even more. So it gives you loads of different options depending on what you're trying to go for, and that's kind of what you're going to want to be looking for, and that's why we do that. Then what you do is you trigger off the App Clone effect. The App Clone effect will allow you to add Schism, and then you discard one card, and the card that you would end up discarding will of course be maybe the draw that you got off of Garura, just to guarantee that you have it and it stays as a one card combo. Then what happens during your opponent's turn, as long as you have sent another Dark off of the back of Maximus, is you would activate the Schism to banish the App Clone and another Dark, and this would then give you direct access to your El Shaddai Winder, being your Winterlock on your opponent, which sometimes is very, very difficult for them to break, especially if you're already backing that up with something like a Dragoon, or if you've got that with a Cartesia being your only special summon of the turn, you can just lead yourself into loads of different options. Finishing off the lineup, we do play the one Magical Eyes Fusion, because again, you search this out with Albulanatus, and then what that does is, because you're probably going to have a dragon in your graveyard by that particular point, especially if you don't Winterlock, you can either leave yourself with the Albulanatus in the graveyard, which is your dragon, and then all you need is a Dark Magician, and then that means you can activate Magical Eyes Fusion to summon you out your Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. So you've got that follow-up as an option as well, so it gives you loads of different things to play around with. The last engine that we are playing is we're playing a very small Bystial package of one Magnemute, two Druid Swarm, and a Baldrake. This is just so you have an aggressive hand trap option. You've also got that ability to get a dragon to your hand, or consistently have dragons in your hand, and that's where Cartesia can come into play even more, because if you already have a Dark Magician on the board, or you bring it back with Eternal Soul or anything like that, then all it means is if you resolve a Magnemute, or you activate a Magnemute or a Druid Swarm, you can then activate a Cartesia to fusion summon the Dark Magician plus the dragon that's on the board to get you into a Dragoon. That could then lead you into a Druid Swarm sending one of your opponent's monsters to the graveyard, or it can obviously resolve in the end phase for Magnemute to search you out a dragon, which can even be your Primite as well. So you're getting a bit of a bridge between the two, or of course you just go directly for the Timaeus Dragon, and that can help extend your plays to get you into another Dark Magician fusion monster. So that's pretty much it for the entire profile. It is a very, very aggressive option, and what I mean by that is you're already playing the Bystials, you're playing the Dogmatikas, you're playing Dark Magician cards anyway, and the Primites. But if you're like, you know what, I just want to play one of those engines, I don't want to play all of them, then you take them out, and that's where you start opening up the door to either board breakers in the form of stuff like Super Poly, Triple Tactics Frost, Triple Tactics Talons, Ultimate Slayer, you name it, or of course you can open yourself up to more hand traps in the form of stuff like Ashes, Imperms, Drolls, Veilers. You've got the list goes on and on and on. Moving into the extra deck. So, for the fusion cards that you're going to want to send off of the back in the Nadir Servant, you've got Titaniclad as option number 1, alongside the Albulanatus. your El Shadow App Clone, El Shadow Winder, and your aggressive option being your Elder Entity Ints, followed up by Garura Wings of Resonance Life. So you've got 6 different targets that you can send. That's going to be able to give you a different form of advantage. Garura gives you the nice draw, Natis gives you the pop, App Clone leads you into the Winder Lock, and then your Albulanatus leads you into Magical Ice Fusion, Titanica leads you into Quem. So every target that you are sending is going to lead you somewhere, which is what you're trying to look for and is what you're aiming to do. Then onto the Link monsters. So for the Link monsters, before I go back to the Dark Magician fusion monsters, you do play your generic SP Little Knight, and then of course you've got your Dark the Dark Charmer working its way into Selene, which would then bring back a Dark Magician. You'd turn Dark Magician into Umduct, and then of course you would link that plus your Selene and get you into your access code. And again, you're putting another dragon to the graveyard that you might be able to use for Magical Ice Fusion, should you hard open it, or should you have searched it out the previous turn. That then makes access code a 5300 with a light, a dark, and a wind that can all be banished from the graveyard to pop 3 more cards on the field. Not to mention you also have a Dragoon that will be made with Dark Magician, so it gets to pop an additional card and burn your opponent. And then on top of that, Dragoon plus your access code will be swinging in for game. SP Little Knight is just your generic card that's insanely powerful that's going to be utilised everywhere you go. And the last 4 cards we are playing are the Dark Magician cards. So we're going to be playing your Red Eyes at Dark Dragoon, pretty standard on that one. Your Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight, less effective in this particular version as we're not playing as heavily control, so you don't want to protect all of your back row as importantly, but still being able to get a Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight can be very, very useful for you. Depending on when you go into your side deck, it can also help you protect your Schism, and then it will allow you to adapt your plays accordingly. Then, of course, you do play the 1 Dark Magicians. Now, again, this one is personal choice. You don't have to play it. I just like the idea that you do have access to Dark Magician Girl plus Dark Magician and then a host of other spellcasters. So straight away, Cartesia plus Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl gets you into the Dark Magicians, which will allow you to draw a card when a spell is activated. And then if it is a spell or trap, you can set it and activate it that turn. So straight away, it can be very, very helpful depending on what you draw into. And that's why you might want to consider playing stuff like Forbidden Droplet, Forbidden Chalice, Infinite Impermanence. Dominus Impulse as well is something you could consider, but if you wanted to go down that route, you would definitely need to take away all of your light monsters. You could still play the Primites, but then your Nadirs won't be as effective because you won't be able to get your Maximus to then utilize his effect from that point on. So you do need to keep that in mind. The last one that I'm playing, again, just for a bit of fun, is Quintet Magician. Now, the reason for this one is it requires 5 spellcasters. So when you're playing Quem, Maximus, Cartesia, and then, of course, you've got Rod, you've got Souls, you've got Dark Magician, you've got Dark Magician Girl, you've even got your Illusion of Chaos as well. You've got so many different spellcaster targets that you can very easily make this, whether it be coming off the back of Magical Ice Fusion, or whether you use Cartesia, because Cartesia would already be on the board with Quem, so straight away that's 2 spellcasters. Not to mention any spellcasters you might have in hand, or any other spellcasters you've got on the board. Maybe you use Primite Lordy Lord to bring you a second Dark Magician from the deck. So straight away, it's very easy to actually make Quintet. And as long as you use it with 5 spellcasters with different names, it also destroys all cards on the opponent's field. So that's very, very important as well, because then that will give you the ability with Quem to quick effect trigger it during your opponent's turn. And you can also do that with Secrets of Dark Magic, as it is a quick play spell. It's something that's very, very niche, but it kind of felt more Dark Magician to me. It's a shame it's not called like Dark Quintet Magician or something along those lines. It is Dark Magician, but it's technically not Dark Magician by name. It would also be really amazing if it actually listed Dark Magician in its text, because then you could use Eye of Timaeus to actually turn into it, which would be another bit of a techie option, but that's just something for you to keep in mind. If you don't like Quintet, the other option you can go for is, of course, your Guardian Chimera, but the way you would make Guardian Chimera would only be through Secrets of Dark Magic, because if you make it through Cartesia, it won't trigger its effects, which is something you do need to remember, because this one specifically, and the reason for that one, is it must be fusion summoned using only fusion materials from the hand or field with at least 1 monster from each. If it is fusion summoned by a spell card. So when you use Cartesia, it's fusion summoned by a monster effect, so it doesn't actually get the pop and draw. But if you use it through Secrets of Dark Magic, you'll get both of that, which is why I thought Quintet was probably a slightly better option that might be a little bit more consistent, especially if you already go through the Winder Lock as well. You're going to be ending your board on a Maximus, the ability to get into Winder, Cartesia, and of course Quem, and then obviously all you need to do is add 1 more spellcaster in your hand or on the field to that, and that gives you a very easy Quintet board nuke as well. So that's pretty much it for the entire profile. I've tried to keep this very nostalgic in a sense as well. Like, I didn't want to go absolutely ham, but like I said, these are all the engines that I've had a lot of fun with when I play them with Dark Magician. I'm not saying it's the most the most exciting build, and I'm not saying it's the most competitive build of this at all. I feel that if you want to make this the most competitive build, you would choose either the Primites or the Nadir package, and then you would work your way into taking the other engine out and then splash in more hand traps or board breakers that are going to be format specific. Anyway, hope you'd enjoy this update to this deck. It's something that I'm hoping we're going to get some more support coming out in the future. It seems that Blue Eyes has got its turn, so maybe Dark Magician will be next, and I really do hope that is the case. For now, as absolutely always, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Join us on our journey all the way to 100,000 subscribers, all the way through 2025 and beyond. So make sure you hit that notification bell so you do not miss out on any upcoming videos. For now, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.